Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I'm Lewis Cipher, and this is the Devil's Advocate Debate Club. Welcome back, everyone. Today I had several video ideas that I'm throwing by the wayside because while I had initially planned not to talk about it, especially how much I've been talking about things that anger me involving children, and especially the left coming after children, I kind of have a personal perspective on this one that, well, might be interesting to people. So, recently speaking, there's a story, and you can search it quite easily if you looked up stuffed animal and police car, about a cop who had a Marley the monkey in the back of his police vehicle in order to help traumatized kids. Here's some background information on why and what Marley the monkey is. It's not uncommon for cops, at least in the area where I live, to occasionally have toys or other things in their cars so that if they come across a child who's traumatized, they can, well, help calm them down, give them something familiar or comforting to take their mind off of whatever trauma they're going through. I personally think that this is a good thing, that it can be helpful for children. Now, I've been in an argument with a guy on Twitter who says that he was a cop in New York City for 20 years and never saw anything like this in the back of a police vehicle, never saw them using toys to help traumatize children. So maybe it's something that's not universal. Maybe it's an East Coast, West Coast thing. I mean, I do come from a smaller area, but personally speaking, I think it's a good idea for cops, if not, I mean, I'm not saying it has to be required, but actually I think it's a good thing for them to have things on hand to help them deal with traumatized children. As for what they had on hand, they had one Marley the monkey. Now, I'd meant to look up whether or not monkeys actually live in Jamaica before doing this video. I'm not positive. I believe they do. Regardless, though, lots of people like Bob Marley. I'm not the biggest fan of his music, but I think a lot of what he spoke about in his career, about peace and an end to war, are important statements, and there's a reason why he's been a public figure of interest since well before his death, and hasn't stopped since then. So, Marley the monkey is a monkey with dreadlocks dressed in a Rastafarian shirt in the style of Bob Marley, or really in just traditional Jamaican Rastafarian style. And it's a prize common at carnivals. There's a toy distribution. The carnivals, I don't know if you know this, get their toys from several different distribution centers, and most carnivals order from a mix of them. Anyway, so this is one of the more common distribution centers. You're likely to see Marley the monkeys at carnivals across the United States and likely other places as well. There was a time at the carnival that I was traveling with when Marley the monkey was pulled as a prize because one of the people in charge of the games had decided that it was possible that these could be seen as racist, as they are now in... Ooh, frog just jumped into the pond there. I don't know if I caught that on video. But as they are now in the media with this police incident, and people complained. They're actually one of our more popular prizes. I say I'm no longer with the carnival, but it came down to the fact that we've just brought them back because we were, well, losing customers over the fact that people like Marley the monkey. Also, there were complaints about it dropping cultural diversity from our toys and, standardizing them rather than allowing for diversity of culture. So, people love Marley the monkey. I can say this personally because for a while I was managing several of the games. I was a supervisor for several games, which meant it was my duty to make sure that they had enough stock. I was the one bringing prizes out and putting them in the games to make sure that they ran smoothly. And I could not keep enough Marley the Monkeys in the game that I had them in. Another one of the, not a supervisor, a manager, a step up from me, actually came to me so that we could trade prizes in our games, and gave me some of her cool dragons so that she could take a few of my prizes, but primarily Marley the Monkeys because, well, they're popular, people love them, they're cool. This one in particular was donated to the police force along with a bunch of other toys. And just to wrap up the point of my personal experience, I've seen literally thousands of children interact with Marley the monkey, and I mean hundreds of thousands of people, adults and children alike, without a single one of them considering it to be a problem. It was never actually complained about at the carnival. Someone was just concerned that as cancel culture has been becoming more popular, that it would become an issue. And we're seeing that she might have been right. But I can certainly say that for the general population, Marley the monkey is not an issue. He's a delight. He's exactly the kind of thing that I want a police officer to have to help with traumatized kids if they're going to have something like that. And the fact that the police force has apologized and removed the monkey makes me sad. This is just one more on a list, an ever-growing list of examples of how cancel culture hurts our children. And, I mean, cancel culture hurts everyone, but the more that I look at it these days, it seems particularly insidious when it comes to kids, maybe just because there's less they can do to fight back against it. But there's been more and more that's been damaging for children, from a child in school throwing a temper tantrum, getting arrested at the age of 6, to a 13-year-old girl being charged with a felony for pointing at some of her friends with a gun finger, to, well, traumatized kids no longer being able to hang out with Marley the monkey, one of the carnival's most popular prizes, because someone who, not even someone who was involved, not even someone whose kid was in the car with the monkey, just someone who saw it driving by, decided that they thought that it was inappropriate. Now, I've read the articles, at least some of them. There's, Brutus, stop itching. There's no explanation that I've been able to find of why this is inappropriate. They scream that it's racist. Oh, I guess they say that black people have been called monkeys, so it's an ethnic slur, and because they're tying black culture, because Jamaica is primarily black, and this Rastafarian culture is primarily black, to monkeys, that they're tying the two together, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. The thing's been a prize for years. That's not the only Rasta animal. They've got hamsters and dogs and other stuff too. That's just the one that was donated to the police. So cancel culture is dangerous because it only takes one person out of millions, the most extreme, excessive minority, to be offended by something, as long as they pose their offense in the right way, in order for societal changes to be inflicted on the rest of us, with little that we can do to help other than speaking out against it. Just what I intend to keep doing. But I'm sick of it. I was sick of it when it was primarily hurting adults and their YouTube channels and, their ability to produce income. It wasn't fun then, but in the last year or so, it seems to have really shifted target and to more and more be affecting kids more than adults. And, well, it's disgusting, really. The same people who talk about protecting our children and who prop up kids as political pawns, like Greta Thunberg when it comes to environmentalism, the same people who talk about how, it's disgusting that Republicans are against abortion, but then don't want to support the kids once they're born. And there might even be a point to that at times. But these same people now are using one of the most forceful tools of social destruction, censorship and cancel culture, to come for your kids, for the comforts in your kids' lives, and basically for anything that they can take. Because for them, it doesn't... I like to think the best of people, and I like to see the best of both sides. And I certainly, as someone who was on the left for sometimes most of my life, and came very close to what would be considered the far left, I try really hard not to judge anyone's intentions, because I know that there were certainly policies I believed in that were, I see now, misguided, and things that I was incredibly misinformed on by the adults around me growing up that I just took as facts because everyone said them, because I grew up in an extremely left community. So I try not to paint everyone with a broad picture, but I think that there is a group within the left, a subgroup, the cancel culture experts, and I don't think that they're acting from a place of morals. I don't think that they call themselves progressives. I don't think they want progress. I don't think they want to help things grow. I don't think they care who they hurt. I think that they want power for the sake of power at any cost. And they built up their reputation by coming for people who were outed by society's taboos. They went for the racists first, even though a lot of them are probably racist themselves. And then they moved on to people that they could label, even viscously so, as white supremacists. And then they went for the far right, labeled all those people together now as the far right. And then they go for anyone far right associated and keep pushing farther and farther toward the center until pretty soon they're labeling people like Tim Pool, true lefty centrists, as far right. And they're doing it because they want power at any cost, and they've pushed through enough of society, and it's become acceptable for them to attack enough of society that they're moving past the taboos, past the assholes, past the online trolls, to everyday Americans. And really, that's been going on for some time now. So now they're moving past everyday Americans, and they're coming for your children because they don't care. They don't have morals. They have political goals to gain power. Sorry, I had a wasp on me. Actually, I don't think it was a wasp. Anyway. These people are not necessarily evil, because evil is when you're doing bad things, not even for your own self-gain, but just for the sake of doing bad things or for amusement. They are doing it for the gain. They're doing it for the sake of power. But they are incredibly bad people. And they're supported by the mainstream media and by people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and politicians on the far left who would like to see our speech censored to the point that our children can no longer tell each other everything's A-okay. And no, for those of you who didn't catch that particular controversy, I'm not kidding. The OK symbol is now registered in several different places as a racist hate symbol. So no more playing the circle game, no more calling out three-pointers. Nope, the left wants to take this one from us. They want to take away our stuffed monkeys. They want to take away our chicken sandwiches and they're willing to attack our children and their own children to get the power that they need to do it. But hey, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, I'm your host, Lewis Cipher. Thank you for watching the Devil's Advocate Debate Club.